I thought he got me. He understood me.
He's guilty. It's guilt. This is guilt. This is guilt. He knows. I like Bill Clinton. He knows Overlord Damas Guinness is coming. Now, Hillary and Bill, I wonder if they're going to make it to the hearing. Will they make it to the hearing? Will they make it? Here's what I think it'll be. I think someone tries to get him. Somebody shoots her in the chest, and she falls down. And the CIA, Mossad, whatever, whoever they contracted goes, we got her. And then all of a sudden, like a horror film, you just see a shadow 15 feet tall on the wall. And she gets up because she's unkillable. She's unkillable. They realize it. They go, what the fuck? Because she's here for a purpose. Hillary and Bill, I'll be so disappointed. They have to light themselves on fire to take Trump out. They want public calls for his resignation. That's what they want. There's no reason they would do this. For what? They have nothing left. They have nothing left other than the idea that she can light this guy on fire. She could light him on fire. I have more to say about this, but let's take a quick break for that man who killed himself by putting his head in that fryer. Was that at Wendy's? Where did he do this?
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden? Let's just take a quick break here because it's been very dark as an episode. I want to take a minute. This is a male cook who tried to kill himself by he put his head in the fryer at Olive Garden. Let's just take a moment. An Olive Garden employee died from burn injuries he suffered after thrusting his head into a deep fryer in what police have categorized as a suicide attempt. The harrowing incident occurred Friday afternoon at the Williamsport, Pennsylvania restaurant where the what is that? Decedent? Decedent. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were saying the Williamsport, Pennsylvania restaurant where the decadent tour of Italy was served. I'm like, ooh, it's getting sexy. I might have to go over there. In response to an inquiry, Trooper Lauren Lesher, a Pennsylvania state spokesperson, said the incident was a suicide attempt, and out of respect for the individual and their family, we do not release information. Interesting. In a brief phone conversation, a manager at the Olive Garden, which closed for a couple of days after the incident, by the way, for what reason? We are not able to disclose anything due to our privacy laws. So in a subsequent dispatch, the operator added that a male victim went headfirst into the front. So here's what happens, right? He's at Olive Garden, and he's doing it. Chopping it, sauteing it. I'm imagining, I don't know what this goes on at Olive. He's sauteing it. He's chopping the onion. And then some guy goes, yo, it's fucking busy. He goes, yeah, I know it's busy. And he's doing it. He's putting the hot rolls in the baskets and they're burning his fingers, but he's doing it and he's doing, yo, it's fucking busy, bro. Table 6 needs bread. I'm doing it as fast as I can. Now he's in one of the darkest places in America, truly an Olive Garden kitchen. That might be worse than that show it again. Show the shark. That might be better than the Olive Garden kitchen. Now, he's in an Olive Garden kitchen. He's putting the hot rolls. Now, these are the people who don't get abducted in human traffic. They end up doing this. It's not good either. He's putting the rolls of bread in the basket. He's putting them in the basket quick, and he's chopping the onions. He's got it because he's also prepped. He's doing some prep, but he's also filling in. He's doing a few different jobs because someone called out. Sarah called out because she's got to go to family court and get her kid back. So he's in the Pennsylvania Olive Garden. He's putting the hot rolls. And they're tasty, those little rolls, aren't they? And he's putting the ranch in the little cups. And he's putting the ranch in the little cups. And he says to himself, listen, how much longer am I going to put the ranch in these little cups? He says to him, he has that thought. He says, let's be honest. How much longer am I going to take this industrial-sized thing of ranch and put it in tiny little cups and serve it with the calamari, which is really like buffalo testicle? It's not even calamari, but whatever. It's actually tasty. The point is this, and a lot of people like the ranch with the breadsticks. Pretty good. He's on his 17th ramekin of ranch that he fills, And it hits him. It hits him. He goes, this could all end right now if I just stuck my head in the fryer in front of everyone. And it'll be such a harrowing image. It'll be such a harrowing image that even though I'll be dead, the people who in this restaurant that see this will be guilted with this forever because they were mean to me and they were not nice. And this image of me putting my head. Now, by the way, this doesn't work. That's why I'm against suicide. No one cares. If you literally if I was mean to you and then you killed yourself in front of me, I literally wouldn't care. So don't do it. Stay alive. But here's my point. And I'm never mean to anyone, truly. But here's the thing. He says to himself, the last thing I can do in this world, the last amount of power I have is to put my head in a burning fryer in front of all of these people because it might just ruin their life. Now, I want you to imagine a two-term senator from New York and a first lady who's done a lot of dinners, a lot of interviews, a lot of book signings, and that's her putting those ramekins of ranch on the table. And she's about tired of putting those ramekins of ranch on the table. And she wants to put her head into a fryer in front of everybody else in the kitchen. Because the guy who got the job over her, the guy who's running it, who got the management position, she knows that if she sticks her head in the fryer, he's not going to be able to be manager anymore. They're going to fire him. They're going to say, who drove her to stick her head in the fryer? There's going to be calls for that man's resignation. It's not going to bode well at other Olive Gardens that he presided over the head in fryer incident. She knows that as she sits in Qatar and slinks around in her skin suit. She knows. Get up, get that face. She knows that the one thing she has left to do is put her head in the fryer. The one thing Hillary Clinton has left to do is put her head in the fryer in front of everybody in the kitchen at Olive Garden, because when you've worked in Washington as long as she has, it's all an Olive Garden kitchen. You're just putting the bread in the baskets, education subsidies in the basket. There you go. Oh, this has less calories, actually. It's pretty good. We use the light ranch dressing. Oh, crime bill. Blah. It's all it is. It's just a workplace. You're in the kitchen. That's all she does is in the kitchen. And she's now not the manager, and she knows she'll never be the manager. She's out of the game. She's just putting ranch dressing in the ramekin. She's just chopping the onion. She's just putting the bread in the basket. She don't want to do it anymore. The fuck she care about the future of the Democratic Party? Get the fuck out of here. Legacy. Your ass. She's putting her head in the fucking fryer in front of everyone. The sound of the skin. The smell of the burned hair. The scream of the first person who notices it. Ah! Ah! The scream heard round the world. That's all she's got left. All she has left to do is put her head in the fryer. I knocked something out there. It doesn't matter. I can't see anything anymore. It doesn't matter. There's nothing to see. There we go. It's the most apt metaphor I can think. Now, keep going down. After the initial ambulance crew arrived, the second unit was sent to the restaurant to treat a female worker who suffered minor burns. That'll be J.D. Vance. The woman was injured as workers and at least one patron struggled with the male cook in an attempt to stop him from suffering additional self-inflicted burns. Because you remember, the shock of what he just did, his body comes right out of it. Okay? Not our girl. Our girl's going in once for the dunk. And when her head comes out of that fryer, it's going to look like Hellraiser. A completely, perfectly fried face, oozing blood, her eyes falling out of her sockets. Okay? It's going to look exactly like Hellraiser. Eyes full of purpose, although melting out of her face. Skin falling on the floor, the smell of burned hair, her jaw weakened by the temperature, her teeth starting to dislodge from her gums, the blood and pus and ooze all forming a weird, slightly grayish substance. That might just be the hue of the light, but I see it as a gray sludge moving down her face, and the manager coming back in and looking at this face of horror, knowing that he will never again be the manager of an Olive Garden because he presided over the face in fryer incident. This is what's going to go on when they testify, because this is the last thing they have left to do. I'm telling you. And Trump knows it, and he's scared. You can feel it. This is the first time he's felt actually vulnerable because none of these people could take him down. Marjorie Taylor Greene can't take him down. Thomas Massie can't take him down. But there's something about Bill and Hill, but only if they destroy themselves in the process. The most powerful thing in politics is self-immolation, willing to light yourself on fire. Willing to light yourself on fire, not caring who gets burned in the process. They want to do a public hearing. They want to do something with spectacle. They want something to be haunting. They want it to be big. Jeffrey Epstein was a Luciferian, money laundering, murderous pedophile whose friends felt like they were above the law and were. These are some of the most demonic and privileged people that have ever lived. They live on yachts and in mansions. They have all the best real estate. They lurk in the shadows. Their eyes hold nothing. The blackness behind their eyes is the only identifiable trait about them, other than their names, which are fucking redacted, but we could also know them. But as a class of people, they're amorphous. They're an amorphous blob, sucking up people, murdering them, maybe cannibalizing them, carpet bombing them, torturing them, driving them all over the world, shattering their hopes and dreams and getting off on it, feeding on their negative energy. And Bill and Hillary Clinton had done that for a very, very long time. And now it's time to stick their head in the fucking fryer of the Olive Garden. Because at the end of the day, they know they're not going to heaven. That was never the plan. It was never the plan. What the fuck would they do in heaven? It was never the plan. But they can go to hell on their terms. They can go to hell on their terms. But they got to drag him down there first. The only thing she ever cared about was getting the big job. It's the only thing that animated her. It never stopped animating her. This entire year, from when he was inaugurated till now, the name Epstein has loomed large over this. This is the key to unlocking more. The early Bitcoin, the guys all over 4chan. He's been so much of the political culture, the hate, the division, all of the stuff that's going on right now. He played some weird role in a lot of it. He's not this weird outlier Gadsby-like figure. He's directly plugged into a lot of the things that impact our everyday lives. And his name looms very large over this presidency because it's not just a story about a pedophile. It's a story about how things ended up looking the way they do. And this is what Bill and Hillary know. They know this. They know this. And they can do it. They can come in and tell everybody, I did it. I did it. I ate a baby. I ate a baby. And yes, we're going to want to kill them, and we should. But this is their last stand. Their last stand is to close the curtain on the bullshit politics they were. Because you got to remember, they're just two white trash goons who are used by these people. Evil? Yes. Rapists? Yes. Monsters? Yes. But they were selected by the people that run things He was selected to be the chubby, accessible, I like McDonald's too. Like, that's what he was selected to do. He was selected to let those drops of cocaine get into Mena, Arkansas so they could flood the inner cities with them and then put a lot of black people in jail and then fund the Contras. And when those kids discovered it, the boys on the tracks, they crushed their heads. Google that. I don't have the time. Here's the point. No, not you. The people in the audience. We can't get derailed. But here's my point. They were chosen and they were cast in roles and played them. But they were discarded. Do you understand me? Listen up. They were discarded. By the same vampires that chose them, they were discarded. All of a sudden, they were sitting there, face full of blood from a lunch of cannibal shit. And they were like, nah, nah, nah. And they, just like that, it was over. Just like that, the real power was taken from them, drained from their little alien fingers. And then they had to go to a series of luncheons and God help us, The View and the Drew Barrymore show and all this crap. They don't want to do that crap. They want to back channel with Putin. They want to install the new president of Syria. They want to build Miami and Gaza. They want to be in the big fucking game. They don't want to do fucking luncheons and Chappaqua and fucking book clubs. And what was it like being a woman politician? What was it like? What was it like getting into the boys club? What was it like? They don't want that shit. She doesn't want that. How dare you? The same vampires that used them discarded them. And now it's time. Now it's time to fight fire with fire. There is hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And Hillary may not be a woman, but she's close enough. So I'll tell you this right now. This story can only end with this woman putting her head into the fryer. I will be so disappointed if that doesn't happen. Some version of it. Maybe you don't confess to everything. Maybe you don't confess to everything. But enough of it. You confess to enough. Salacious headlines, calls for impeachment, even from Republicans. A swarm. Revenge Hillary. Couple of billionaires get perp walked out of their Hamptons mansions. I watch it all eating Carvel from my car. Oh, my car was stolen. From my friend's car. The point is this. We're at a unique period in history. All of the things, or enough of the things that we thought were true are true, so now what? We need to fully look this in the face. And the only way to do that is really to have someone who was used by these people and partook in it and who is evil and a corrupt soul, Bill and Hill, they need to have one last kill. They need to walk up there and raise their right hand and sit there and say, I was putting cups of ranch dressing in a ramekin, just like we all did, just like we all did. We were picking up food off the floor and putting it into the fettuccine Alfredo, like we all did. We all did it. And then, just when things are getting good, head into the fryer. Think of the kitchen. That person who did this, and by the way, we feel bad for them. Obviously, it's a sad story. R.I.P. Whatever disclaimer you need, because it's actually a great, powerful metaphor, and it's serving a great point right now. So the person who did this had no idea how many people this might inspire. Imagine the kitchen after that, the chaos of the kitchen. Imagine what it felt, looked like, what it smelled like. It will never leave their minds. It will never leave their mind. Someone will be sitting and they will go, I saw a guy years ago. I was working at an Olive Garden. And I saw this guy put his head in the fryer. The manager kept yelling at him that he wasn't getting the ramekins of ranch dressing ready quick enough. And he just had this look in his eye. You know, we had seen him get mad before. Usually he'd go out and smoke a cigarette. But this time he felt like he was really serious. Something had changed. There was a blackness to his eyes. Something was odd. I remember I called his name twice, and He didn't even look at me. He didn't even turn his head. He was just so focused. And then I smelled it before I saw it. Skin, hair, I can't even describe the smell. Oil entering every orifice of his face. He had put his head in the fryer. He had decided to literally fry his head off. He had literally decided to fry his own head off in the Olive Garden kitchen while we were making the Taste of Italy, Tour of Italy, whatever. And I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that. Every time I get stressed out, I go take a walk. I go take a beat. I go breathe deep. Because I remember the smell. And I remember when I saw his face. When I saw his face, there was a sick look in it, kind of like a smile. Now, of course, the skin was so many blisters, so many boils. It would be hard to describe it as a smile. It looked more like a Halloween mask. A Halloween mask in the middle of that Pennsylvania Olive Garden. The manager was stunned, staring, screaming, calling the police, knowing that he'd never again be the manager of a regional chain restaurant in America, which with his convictions was all he could ever hope for. Knowing that he'd be at a drive-thru handing people McDonald's toys within a week because he presided over a gruesome incident that we had to close for 72 hours. I remember what it felt like to walk back into that kitchen. It was dark and haunting. But there was something good about knowing that the worst had happened. That the worst thing in that kitchen that could have happened had happened, and I had witnessed it. I stared it in the face. I watched a man fry his own head off in the Olive Garden in rural Pennsylvania. So I went back to that kitchen and I felt powerful. And I put the ranch dressing in the ramekins, and I got the bread ready. Because it's always somebody who's hungry at the Olive Garden. Hillary, it's time.